Changing stripes. Why, we've even talked of downsizing on out of our beloved giant McMansion. Working on a plan to reduce my negative savings rate somewhere over the long run. Don't necessarily need restaurant food every third meal or so. May have to cut back on sucking up to lamely scripted corporate vision. Might not even strongly support every single goddamn defense spending bill. Perhaps we might need to start thinking about possibly looking into that global warming stuff. Taking up meditations maybe 3 times a week as soon as that next class starts. Gonna get the kids organic white bread and low salt trans fat free chips. Turning the heat all the way on down to around 70 starting next winter. Probably going to hold off on buying that other OHB for a while. Seeing my newest 9-passenger vehicle in a slightly different light, not nearly so sure about where our elected leaders are actually steering us. Thinking that maybe these meds aren't really supposed to make me better. After this next trip, we may not go out to Vegas again for a while. Might not take such an interest in the lives of them Hollywood couples anymore. Reviewing my oversized emotional investment in professional sport at this time. It's even possible I could revisit some of the minor decisions made with my personal savior. Pretty much ready to recycle as soon as they make it worth my while. Cutting back a bit on the fertilizers, pesticides, and excess water I put on my beloved lawn. Gonna pound down some more of that leafy rabbit food every once in a while too. Got a good fitness program in mind when I finally free up some time. Our stockholders may have expressed some interest beyond next quarter. Maybe I'll ask the next candidates if they could write some of their own speeches. This really will be the last time that we borrow on the equity in our home. I'm not putting another plastic yellow ribbon decal on my new truck. Pretty close to cutting back to only 3 lattes per week. Got to thinking maybe them Frenchies ain't really so mixed up after all. I noticed we never watch hardly any of them 300 deluxe package channels. Probably not going to drive the ATV off of the established trails so much anymore. Maybe them polar bears going extinct does mean something to me in the end. Possibly their petrodollar pie chart has a fat slice labeled terrorist subsidy. Next time I might just read the ingredients and calories on the label. I'm signing up on my 401k or whatever as soon as my credit card is paid off. I noticed the same kind of stuff built everywhere we went through on our last vacation. Thinking about selling the Harley, but it's sat for so damn long it won't start. Driving an obese pickup 70 miles a day to my stupid job is making less and less sense all the time. I'm trying to do the math of being broke and laid off for good at 55, but having to live until 80. Finally noticed my kids might not quite be reaching up to their exceptional potentials. It seems a little hotter every year, and the birds and plants are sure acting funny. Maybe cleaning up the lake makes more sense than just putting up signs about the toxins. Perhaps tax and spend is more conservative than borrow and send overseas. Is killing evergreens and buying off artificial gilt for retailers really a Christian holiday? Dang, them little hybrids are easier to load groceries into than this giant pickup. I begin to wonder where these leftover batteries, paints, and pesticides all wind up. What if raising pigs and cows like they weren't actually even alive really ain't Jesus' way? Does it make sense to spend all my money on incurable ailments just to die within a year? If it's all in God's hands and by His will, why is greed so goddamn important? You know, I got to thinking, with the AC on, idling in my SUV, it gets 0 mpg. How is it that illegal workers go to jail but their bosses get to keep the higher profits? Just where is the money behind this vast global warming hoax anyway? Now where do the jobs and tourists go once the big trees are cut and all shipped overseas? My wife is going to cut back on her nails, hair trimming, and tanning stuff real soon now. After their neglected children Are their neglected children worse sins than the sex we denied them condoms for? I might even stop driving 80 to 85 every time I think I can get away with it. Had a drive-by epiphany near the projects on the freeway going to the work, I think. Gonna go green or whatever now that it's a Tony fashion trend. We booked our spiritual quest to India on the internet. Making up for my life of mindless hyper-consumption with these funny little light bulbs. Maybe we should have impeached him, just to make a point to the rest of the world. With my wind power checkoff, we're in the real vanguard of CO2 reduction. Bet I will get my weight, sugar, cholesterol, and blood pressure down again someday. Cutting back on that trendy new seafood that's replacing the last one they overfished. I'll be leasing a 300 horsepower hybrid to reduce my footprint going forward. Waiting for that new career they promised to create when they outsourced my job to foreign slaves. So is it that since God is love, we keep on so lovingly killing in his name? Maybe it should be land, labor, capital, and sustainable entrepreneurship. Perhaps free markets doom elephants by paying even more the fewer that remain. Saw the corporate ads on ethanol, and now I'm climbing on board with that as well. Even if global warming was a hoax, I'm tired of my 8-ton SUV anyway. I'll be waiting in the drive-through line in my electric car for no-fat organic fries. I'm for logging jobs here at home, but we demand that Brazil save their rainforest. What if most of our problems really did have something to do with our own overpopulation? Pulling back from this wildly pitching blur real soon now to contemplate that eternal void. You're right.